I never thought that it would happen to me. Thievery, vandalism, destruction. I always knew that they could happen, I just never thought it would happen so far from civilization. It wasn't much, just a couple walls were knocked over, some tools were missing, and my bucket of loose change was gone as well. The walls were a lot of work, but could easily be rebuilt. The tools were mostly just my electrical ones that I can't use anyways, and the change was probably only about $100 worth. Not the worst setback, but something about it left me feeling unsettled. I felt like I was constantly being watched, like everything I do moving forward would be destroyed or stolen too. Throughout the entirety of the first week, whenever I heard a rustle in the leaves, the wind through the trees, or a snapping branch, I couldn't help but feel like whoever pillaged my land was coming back for more. No matter what I did, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the last I'd see of these events. Some of my actions in the next few episodes may not make sense to you, but most of them were done with safety in mind. I felt really paranoid for a long time, so my thoughts were constantly scattered on the wind. I don't know if any of this information is important, I just felt like I needed to get it out there. So, before I waste any more of your time, let's dive into today's story. Okay, so I arrived, tools were stolen, walls broken, it was cold, and I had no food or water. So what should the next step be in all of this? And what should I do first? Well, the first step should usually be to organize and clean things up so you can have a better atmosphere to work in. But I obviously don't know what I'm doing, so I decided to rake up some leaves instead. The people I stayed with before my return gifted me a wheelbarrow, and boy howdy, the wheelbarrow made it so much easier to collect and transport all sorts of things. Though I must admit, it was quite a pain to pull up the creek bank. All these leaves will get swept away during the flooding season, and that just seems like a huge waste, so I'm gonna just put them in a compost pile for now. Leaves make great compost, so I use the wheelbarrow and mulch fork to transport the leaves from all over the place. Look at this nice mushroom. In fact, I used the wheelbarrow so much that he decided the work conditions were too much and retired.
Okay, so because I put too many rocks in the wheelbarrow, my wheelbarrow wheels exploded. So I thought it would be a great idea to cut the rubber part off for no apparent reason instead of trying to fix it. Yep. I have no clue why I did that, but that's okay.
But not before I was able to change gears and prep some firewood, as the nights were getting colder by the day and it was getting harder to sleep in those conditions. Now, I just have my axe and my machete, so I'll have to rely on branches and smaller wood for fuel. Fortunately for me, but unfortunately for the forest, there's a lot of downed branches and dead trees around. Most of my time and energy for the first few weeks were scattered between raking, firewood prep, and collecting rocks and stones. I didn't get very far before I started seeing signs of impending danger.
Wow. Look at this spider, man.
It's a nice looking spider. Okay, that's not what I came over here to show you.
Mountain lion tracks. Based on their position, it's chasing a deer. It's kind of small, but still something to keep my eye out for.
So, before continuing my rampage across the land, I decided to make a weapon that would protect me from an animal attack. Most people in this situation would opt for a spear since they're super easy to make and give a decent amount of range, and I'll admit I probably would have too, except I've fought too many wild animals, humans included, and I know that spears are only good in certain situations and can actually get in the way in others.
Yeah, this isn't working.
So I decided to make a tonfa instead. For a complete breakdown on why I chose a tonfa, you can click the card in the upper right hand corner when I finish it. But basically, tonfas are great bite guards and add just enough range to ward things off, but not end a fight. Felines have a tendency to use their claws a little bit more than dogs, and I'm unsure of how a fight between us would end up. But then again, felines are stalking animals, so it's unlikely that I would have the chance to do more than defend. So with that in mind, I made a weapon that focuses on defense but has a slight range bonus. Sorry, this is all probably useless information, so I'm gonna be moving on. With my safety in mind, I decided my next task was to focus on cleaning up and rebuilding my shelter. And I'd start by removing the broken walls. I wanted to use the old walls material to make some bricks with a higher clay content so I could possibly fire them later. So I decided to keep the clay cores as whole and as dry as possible for now, since my building abilities are incredibly limited by my lack of water. If you're in a situation like this, there are a few things that you can do to get water. The first, of course, is to dig a well, but since there's no guarantee that I would hit water, and that's a lot of work, I decided to opt for some other options. The most evident is to utilize the tarps on my roof to collect rainwater, which can also collect melted frost. But that's a very small amount of passive water unless it rains, which it hasn't yet. Another way is to find low spots with stagnant water and use a sponge to collect whatever you can. This way is not recommended as stagnant water does come with the risk of disease, but desperate times call for desperate measures. But with rainwater, frost water, and random stagnant water, I was able to get some amount of water, but I wasn't comfortable drinking it. So I go into town to fill a few milk jugs with drinking water till I get more settled in. It's not a perfect system, but with the cold, lack of food, and lack of shelter, the last thing I want is to concoct some virus because I failed to boil my water for long enough. Again, safety is a huge priority to me right now, and having safe drinking water is just one less thing to worry about. Time moves a lot slower out here than in the big city, but at the same time it feels like it's rushing by and I have no way to slow it down. I don't remember how long I've been out here, but I do know that Christmas is just a few days away, and I would like to spend some time with my family and loved ones. The nights are growing colder and longer, so I think it's about time I focused on my shelter.
Well, I broke the thing that holds my camera on my tripod, so I guess that's the end of filming for this month.
Hey, Alex Harris here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on episode 2 coming at the end of January. As a special treat to all of you, I will be releasing another version of each episode in this season completely free of words. While the story told in it is the same, the way it's told is completely different, from the shots to the music to the way it flows. It'll be a bit more relaxing and much more focused on what I've done instead of how I've done it. I really enjoy making both types of the videos, but if you prefer one over the other, make sure to let me know in the comments below. You can expect the wordless video to come out a few weeks after the original episode. And again, I do plan on doing this for every episode moving forward. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll stick around for episode 2. But until I see you in the field, happy hunting!